Welcome to Exploring Psychiatric Advance Directives in New York State, presented by NIAPRIS. NIAPRIS, the New York Association of Psychiatric Rehabilitation Services. It's a statewide coalition of people who use and or provide community mental health recovery services. We provide mental health advocacy, training, and peer bridge services as well. For more information, you can seek out the niapris.org website online. This is part of our PROS Adult Home Outreach Curriculum Project. You can find more information at pros.niapris.org, where you'll find information about financial reimbursement for your outreach efforts and curricula specifically designed to assist you and the people you serve. My name is Larry Hockwald. I have over 19 years working in behavioral health and over 22 working in healthcare. I'm a certified psychiatric rehabilitation practitioner, and I have experience in inpatient residential employment services, as well as 15 years of training in and out of mental health. In 2015, I was honored by the Staten Island chapter of NAMI for my community work as well as for my training in Staten Island, and I have co-authored 3 articles that have been in the behavioral health news. Today, we're going to explore how advance directives support self-determination, we'll promote the use of advance directives, and we will support a working knowledge of the New York State model of advance directives. This is a quote from someone who had a good experience with psychiatric advance directives. This time, with a PAD, or psychiatric advance directives, I did not receive any treatments that I did not want. They were very respectful. I really felt like the hospital took better care of me because I had my psychiatric advance directive. In fact, I think it's the best care that I've ever received. What are psychiatric advance directives? Psychiatric advance directives allow people to declare preferences and instructions for future mental health treatment, stipulating them now while they're able to for instances when they may not be in a position to be able to direct their care. There is a National Resource Center on Psychiatric Advance Directives that can be found at this website. In New York, we have something called Kendra's Law, which created AOT, Assisted Outpatient Treatment, and advance directives can even help you direct your care when the courts have found that you need some assistance in order to remain on an outpatient basis. Key terms when talking about advance directives are informed consent and the capacity to make treatment decisions. What they mean in this case is that you are making informed decisions about your care when you are able to, instead of in a position where you may not have the capacity to make those treatment decisions later on. For instance, if you've been hospitalized because of significant mental health issues. So the care that you have dictated in your advance directives will allow the facility to work on the things you stipulated when you were able to make an informed decision about what kind of care you wanted to receive. Advance directives are legal documents that ensure your wishes about care are followed when you cannot make decisions for yourself. New York State recognizes 3 types. There's the healthcare proxy. That lets you name a healthcare agent, an individual who will make decisions if you cannot make them yourself. It takes effect only after 2 doctors have decided you are not able to make your own decisions. And there are standard New York State forms. You should give copies of those forms to the person you've designated, as well as close family members, your physicians, and other people involved in your care, so they will know you have a healthcare proxy. There is the living will, which are where you list your specific advance directives. It lets you say the care you want and or don't want, including for care at the end of life when you may not even be conscious to be able to make decisions. It takes effect when you cannot make your own decisions, and for the end of life, it takes effect when your doctor confirms that you have an incurable condition. There are no standard New York State forms, and you can even write your advance directives instructions on your healthcare proxy form. There is the Do Not Resuscitate order. It tells healthcare providers and emergency workers not to revive you if you stop breathing or your heart stops beating, and it takes effect once signed by your doctor. There are standard forms, and hospitals have their own forms. But there is also a stipulation of the Do Not Resuscitate order called Medical Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment. And this is very important because it allows you to stipulate that you want some life-saving care and not others. For instance, you can say that if your heart stops beating or you stop breathing, you want them to attempt CPR. However, you do not want to be kept alive on a breathing apparatus or with feeding tubes. So this allows you to go into the specifics that a standard DNR would not include. So your healthcare proxy and your living will together make a complete advance directive for adults 18 years of age or older. These get completed when someone has the capacity to make all these decisions. And then they only apply when people are not able to make their own medical decisions. Healthcare proxies and living wills typically contain more general instructions, as they cannot be followed by emergency medical services providers in an emergency. In an emergency, often you will be transported to the nearest facility or the nearest facility that has an opening, and the care given by emergency responders is protocol that usually will be followed regardless of whether there are other documentation in effect. The person you stipulate as your healthcare proxy or agent is supposed to make decisions in accordance with the principal's wishes, that's your wishes, including your moral and religious beliefs. They're supposed to act as if they're standing in your shoes and with your best interests at heart. It's important to choose an agent who knows you well and is trusted by you, because they'll be making very important decisions when the person with the advance directives is not able to make those decisions. A mental health care provider as an agent is a potential conflict of interest, but can be permissible under certain circumstances. Now, a healthcare proxy never expires unless you put a date for it to expire. Why would you put that date? Well, so that you have to remind yourself to update it, because an out-of-date healthcare proxy that doesn't meet your needs will probably not be able to be followed by a healthcare institution. It can also be revoked. How does a healthcare proxy get revoked? It's revoked if you declare it's revoked, which is usually when you replace it with a later dated one. However, if you get separated or divorced and your spouse is your agent, your healthcare proxy will automatically be revoked. This is to protect you, as some people's exes may not have their best interests at heart, as surprising as that may seem. Now, if you want your separated or divorced spouse to continue to be your agent, that's perfectly fine, as long as you create a new document dated after your legal status has changed. The reason for this is the court needs to know that you made the decision to put your ex in charge of your care when you're not able to do so, as that is something that a lot of people may not choose to do. Even with a healthcare proxy, in New York you have the right to refuse or object to something you wrote in your advance directives. Even if you lack the capacity to make healthcare decisions, you can refuse. Some people find that concerning, but the reason it's there, as it's been documented, is in case you've made changes in your life, your care, become allergic to something, have decided you don't want some kind of care, and you never got to update your form. They still want to give you one last opportunity to change your mind. However, if you've stipulated a healthcare proxy, they will ask that proxy or agent to discuss the issue with you and see if you can all come to an agreement. Providers have responsibilities about healthcare proxies. They're supposed to let you know when you are at their facility that you have the right to accept or refuse medical treatment and to create advance directives. They're supposed to educate their staff and the surrounding community about advance directives so that staff will ask about your advance directives. They're supposed to document in the record whether or not you have them and arrange for a copy to be inserted in your medical record. And they're not to condition the provision of care or discriminate against you because you do or do not have an advance directive. There are also notification requirements. The provider is supposed to contact your agent once they have notice of your healthcare proxy so that they can let them know that you are at their facility and that they need to help direct your care. And they're supposed to comply with the healthcare decisions made by your agent to the same extent as if those decisions were being made by you. And they need to document all actions, including that they contacted your agent, that they're following along with the agent, or why they don't feel they can follow along with something your agent says or something in your advance directive. You have responsibilities as an individual creating an advance directive. You need to understand the right to have informed consent and to accept and refuse psychiatric treatment and to create an advance directive. You need to choose your agent wisely. It should be someone who knows you and understands you well. You need to obtain permission to appoint that agent and describe your healthcare values and choices to that agent. You need to seek necessary information from providers or others so that you can make meaningful decisions in your advance directives, such as the likelihood you can get to that facility in an emergency and what other facilities your providers are related to. You should carefully describe healthcare choices and preferences in your document as well as to your healthcare proxy. You should provide copies of all these documents to the agent you've designated, to your treatment providers, family members, other necessary persons, so that people know you have all this documentation, so that if you get hospitalized and are not able to make your own decisions, they will be able to find your healthcare agent as well as your advance directives. Keep a copy of all of this in an accessible place and review and update the documents periodically, keeping abreast of new available treatments, medication options and choices, things that have changed in your life, things that you might have wanted to consider if your current treatment stops working. You're going to need to put together a little card that says, I have an advance directive. This is where you can find my advance directive. This is the name of my healthcare proxy agent, and this is how to contact them. You should laminate that card and put it right next to your insurance card in your wallet with a paper clip or some other fastener. Why? Because you can bet that in an emergency or in a hospitalization situation, they will find your insurance card. They always do. They need to know how they're going to get reimbursed. However, once they find your insurance card, they may stop looking for other documentation. So it's very important that your advance directive card listing all the important information is attached to your insurance card in some way. Let people know you have an advance directive. Have the forms and information available in the waiting room if you are the provider, so that people will remember, hey, I need to tell them about my advance directive. They should have signs in the waiting room. Ask us about advance directives. And they should connect and collaborate between the inpatient managed care organizations to see if anybody knows if you have an advance directive. Here's an example of a card. You can photocopy that, print it out, fill it in, and keep it right next to your insurance card. New York State Office of Mental Health has a great deal of help available, including usable forms. This is an example of what it looks like, and you can find it just by going onto the New York State OMH website and asking for advance directives forms. If you don't have a healthcare agent or advance directives, are you out of luck? Well, New York also passed the Family Healthcare Decisions Act, and it established the authority of a patient's family member or close friend to make healthcare decisions. Is that good? Well, that depends. The state wants someone to make decisions for your benefit that has a relationship to you rather than leaving it to healthcare facilities that may have other priorities. But the only way to make sure you are likely to agree with all those decisions is to take control of the process rather than leaving it up to the state picking someone or the hospital making decisions. You want to choose a healthcare agent and you want to prepare your own advance directive. There's a lot more information we have in our full training on advance directives. If you would like the full training or any one of many other trainings we offer, you should contact your region's training and technical assistance facilitator from the chart on this slide. We are a team that all provide these trainings together throughout the state, and wherever you work, you can get one of us to come present to your agency. Here are some additional resources, and here are the references used to put together this documentation. We hope you enjoyed this presentation and got information from it, and we hope to work with you soon.